Now to
Bye.
a case likely to end up at the Supreme Court. Exercising your Second Amendment right now comes with an insurance requirement in San Jose, California. Under the rules now, gun owners have to pay a $25 yearly fee. They're required to carry liability insurance or face fines, although not criminal charges. The city can impound weapons if you don't have the fee paid in the insurance, but gun owners won't flat out lose their weapon. These requirements affect roughly 55,000 gun owners in San Jose, a population of more than 1 million people there in that city. The ordinance is part of a push to reduce the impacts of gun violence. Here's a look at violent crime in San Jose. Homicides, 31, 730 rapes, 1,200 robberies, 2,700 aggravated assaults. San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo says gun violence costs the city more than $400 million a year. He joins us now. Mayor, it's good to see you. Thank you. We appreciate it. I'm trying to understand, of these crimes, 31 homicides, 730 rapes, 1,200 robberies, 2,700 aggravated assaults, how many were committed with legal guns that this insurance policy would have paid for?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to understand the broader scope of gun harm. I don't have a good answer for you, but what I can tell you is that the majority of deaths in this country that are gun inflicted are from suicide, not from homicide. A third of the emergency room admissions are as a result of gun-inflicted injuries are as a result of unintentional shootings, not intentional shootings. So there's a lot of gun harm that we can reduce independent of all the crimes you're talking about, because we know that there's no magical ordinance that's going to suddenly take a weapon out of the hand of a crook. What we're trying to do is reduce and hopefully eliminate the deaths and preventable injuries that are out there that we know are being committed
how exactly does
lawful gun owners.
Okay, but how does charging a $25 insurance fee that then covers insurance losses or damages resulting from any accidental use of a firearm, including death, injury, or property damage, how does that prevent suicides?
Actually, that's not what the ordinance requires. There are two different elements here, and I think you've conflated them. First, there's an insurance requirement, liability insurance, which is broadly available in the market today for any homeowner or renter.
Sure.
And in some cases, at no additional cost or very little additional cost. Separately, there is a fee mandate that we're imposing on gun owners that helps to pay through a nonprofit foundation for violence prevention and gun harm prevention. And that can be everything from domestic violence prevention to suicide prevention to mental health services to gun safety classes. So it's those direct services, particularly to occupants in gun-owning households, that can dramatically reduce gun harm in our community.
That sounds an awful lot like a tax of, same kind of like a tax on alcohol to pay for DUI checkpoints.
Yes, it's not a tax. It is a fee. Long story as to what the difference is out here in California. It's a big.
I'm sure the lawyers have a reason behind it.
Yes, but it is something that gun owners would pay that funds basic services that are entirely focused on occupants of their own households.
Okay, so if I understand, I mean, look, it's a lot easier to tax or to charge a fee to legal gun owners because they pay. They are legal by definition and law abiding, right. Whereas illegal guns and gun owners don't typically call the mayor's office or the police department and say, let me register my gun. If guns are as big of a problem as you talk about, would you be in favor of higher penalties for illegal gun crimes?
Oh, of course. I'm a former criminal prosecutor, and I've had enough cases where I know if we could have put somebody behind bars longer before they got out to commit the next crime, I would have been perfectly happy with that. This is not about going soft on crime. This is about reducing gun harm in all of its forms.
So in other words, you're basically saying this: if you want to own a gun legally, you have to pay a tax or a fee or whatever you want to call it, so that you can pay for education to other people to not harm themselves with guns.
Well, it's much more than education, but here's what we know about from the epidemiology is that if you live in a house where a gun is owned, that you are much more likely to be a victim of homicide, about twice as likely, about 3 times more likely to be using that gun in suicide. If you're in a domestic violence situation, there's a gun in the house, you're 5 times more likely to have a fatal result if there's a gun in that household. So We want to deliver the services to those occupants of those households because that's where the risk and the harm is.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's an interesting way of doing it. You're a Democrat, and obviously when Democrats start putting new restrictions on guns or taxes or fees or whatever you want to call them, you're going to have you're going to have a Second Amendment challenge here. How do you plan to get around that?
In fact, the lawsuits have already been filed. So
yeah, that's why we're having you on.
We have these challenges. Look, the Second Amendment protects every American's right to own and possess a gun. It doesn't require that taxpayers subsidize that right. And that's exactly what's happening today. In the city of San Jose, nearly $40 million being spent by taxpayers for merely the public response to gun harm and gun violence in the form of emergency room.
Yeah, but I got to think, if you've got 31 homicides, 730 rapes, 1,200 robberies, and 27 aggravated assaults, a lot of that $40 million is from illegal gun crime. Why should legal gun owners subsidize the cost of illegal gun crime?
Because, in fact, an enormous amount of harm is being caused by guns that are owned by law-abiding gun owners. As I mentioned, the majority of deaths, not by homicide, but by suicide. More than a third of gun-related injuries in our emergency rooms are unintentional shootings. We have more than 4.5 million children in this country who live in a home where a gun is kept, loaded, and unlocked. There's a lot we can do with law-abiding gun owners to make us all safer, including the gun owners and their families themselves.
You said something interesting when you said this is not about being soft on crime, because we looked and you obviously have a prosecutor's background, and then Santa Clara County District Attorney Jeff Rosen, who I'm sure you're well aware with, is not soft on crime in any way, and is noted that he's in a tight re-election race. His opponent is pushing for alternatives to incarceration. 8 out of 10 people in the community support, but he and you toe this tougher on crime line. How do you square that with the community response saying they want lighter sentences?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, tougher on crime line, either for myself or District Attorney Rosen. I've been very clear that
you said it yourself. You're not soft on crime. You said,
I'm sorry.
You said it yourself. You're not soft on crime, right?
Look, it depends which issue you're talking about where I line up, but I can tell you, no, I am not soft on crime. I'm a former criminal prosecutor, and I believe that there's an appropriate use for jails and prisons in our society.
Got it. Hey, I appreciate this. We're going to have you back sometime. I'd love to talk a little bit more about this, and also sort of track how some of this money ends up getting spent and what happens with it. It's good to see you, Mayor. We always appreciate someone who's coming on and willing to defend his position and his policy. It's more unusual and unusual in politics for someone to be willing to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leland. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.